Have you ever judged a book by its cover? Well, please, for the love of God, don't do that with MC Hammer. See, MC Hammer had a problem.
He literally went from making $33 million a year to losing everything overnight. But MC Hammer's downfall wasn't just bad spending, it was betrayal, greed, and the kind of danger that doesn't make the headlines. Because behind the flashy suits and million-dollar mansions, Oakland streets had a story even Hammer couldn't dance his way out of. The meteoric rise. Before we dive into the spectacular downfall, we need to understand just how impossibly high MC Hammer climbed, because this wasn't just success. This was stratospheric, unprecedented, history-making domination of an entire industry. And the higher you climb, the harder you fall. Stanley Kirk Burrell was born on March 30th, 1962, in Oakland, California, into circumstances that would have crushed most people before they even started. Growing up in East Oakland with 8 siblings, raised by a single mother while his father worked as a warehouse supervisor and managed a gambling casino, young Stanley was surrounded by poverty, struggle, and the kind of environment where dreams went to die. But Stanley wasn't most people. From an early age, he displayed an entrepreneurial spirit that would later define his career and ultimately contribute to his downfall. He would sell stray baseballs in the Oakland Coliseum parking lot during athletics games, hustling to make ends meet in whatever way a kid could. This hustle caught the attention of team owner Charles O. Finley, who hired him as a bat boy and clubhouse assistant from 1973 to 1980. It was there, in that clubhouse, that players like Reggie Jackson would nickname him Hammer for his resemblance to baseball legend Hank "Hammer" and Aaron. That nickname would eventually become iconic, but back then, it was just a kid trying to survive. After graduating from McClymonds High School in 1980, Burrell briefly attended community college before enlisting in the U.S. Navy in 1981, serving as a petty officer, third-class aviation storekeeper until his honorable discharge in 1984. But even during his Navy tenure, the music was calling to him. He was honing his rapping skills in clubs, adopting MC for a Master of Ceremonies, and forming a Christian rap group called the Holy Ghost Boys. The seeds of his future empire were being planted in the most unlikely of places. Burrell's entry into music was grassroots, self-funded, and a testament to his belief in himself when nobody else did. In the mid-1980s, he borrowed $20,000 from former Oakland Athletics players Mike Davis and Dwayne Murphy to launch Bust It Productions, operating from his basement like a true independent hustler. His debut album, Feel My Power, 1986, sold over 60,000 copies independently through his label Bustin' Records, featuring singles like Ring 'Em that gained traction in clubs across the Bay Area. This wasn't mainstream success yet, but it was enough to get noticed, enough to prove that this kid from Oakland had something special, and noticed he was. Capitol Records signed him in 1988 for a $1.75 million advance, a massive deal for a hip-hop artist at that time, when the genre was still fighting for mainstream legitimacy. They re-released Feel My Power as Let's Get It Started, 1988, and the album achieved multi-platinum status with hits such as Pump It Up and the title track, blending rap with funk and dance elements in a way that nobody had quite done before. Hammer's style, flashy choreography, energetic performances, and positive, faith-infused lyrics set him apart from contemporaries like Run DMC and LL Cool J. He wasn't just a rapper, he was a complete entertainer, a showman who understood that music was visual, experiential, and transcendent. But nothing could have prepared the world for what came next. The year was 1990, and MC Hammer was about to change hip-hop forever. His album, Please Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em, didn't just succeed, it obliterated every record in existence, becoming the first hip-hop album to achieve diamond certification, selling over 18 million units globally. Think about that number for a moment. 18 million in 1990. In a genre that mainstream America still viewed with suspicion and prejudice, this wasn't just a hit album. This was a cultural earthquake, anchored by the absolutely massive, generation-defining, career-launching smash hit You Can't Touch This, which sampled Rick James's Super Freak and peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100. The album also featured Pray, number 2, and a cover of Have You Seen Her? Hammer's innovative use of sampling, from the Jackson 5 to Prince, combined with his signature dance moves like the Hammer Dance and Running Man, made him not just a musician, but a cultural phenomenon that transcended music entirely. Kids were doing the Hammer Dance in schoolyards, adults were wearing parachute pants. Everyone, everywhere, knew those opening notes. Stop, Hammer time. He won 3 Grammys in 1990, including Best R&B Song and Best Rap Solo Performance, along with multiple American Music Awards and a People's Choice Award. His world tour became legendary. His merchandise lines, including Mattel dolls, were everywhere, and he even had a Saturday morning cartoon, Hammerman, 1991, that introduced his brand to an entirely new generation of children who would grow up knowing Hammer as a household name. By 1991, Forbes estimated his net worth at $33 million, with annual earnings around $30 million from music, endorsements with brands like Pepsi and KFC, and those massive tours that sold out arenas across the globe. When adjusted for inflation to 2025 dollars, that $33 million annual earning becomes approximately $76 million, making him one of the wealthiest entertainers on the planet at that moment. Not one of the wealthiest rappers, one of the wealthiest entertainers, period. He was competing with movie stars, legendary rock bands, and pop icons who had been in the game for decades, and he was winning. Hammer followed up with Too Legit to Quit, 1991, which sold over 5 million copies and included hits like the title track, Number 5, and Adam's Groove, Number 7 US, Number 4 UK, featuring elaborate videos with celebrity cameos from Jim Belushi to Queen Latifah that cost millions of dollars to produce. The music videos themselves were miniature movies, showcasing a level of production value that rap had never seen before. Hammer wasn't just making music, he was making art, spectacle, and empire-building content that pushed every boundary. But here's what most people don't know, what the parachute pants and the dancing and the massive crossover success obscured. MC Hammer wasn't just some pop rapper playing dress-up. He was from the streets of Oakland, and those streets don't forget their own.
One of these rappers was Redman of the duo Method Man and Redman. They making a song. Method Man says, I like MC Hammer, he cool. Redman says, man, MC Hammer corny. They stopped the track. The producer go, what'd you say? Redman said, I said he corny. The producer said, I'll just take that part out for you. Redman said, no, keep it. I said he corny.
Too Short, another Oakland legend, would later explain just who Hammer really was.
And I've always been an admirer of Hammer because of the way he did it. We were at odds, so to speak, at a young time, but it wasn't like violence or anger.
People would test Hammer, thinking the dancing meant he was soft. They would learn otherwise.
But Hammer used to, people used to like test them a little bit and just to see if he was, dancing Hammer. And a few times in life, I've heard people tell stories like they caught the wrath of MC Hammer ain't no punk.
But at the peak of his success, with money flowing in faster than anyone could count it, with opportunities multiplying daily, with the world literally at his fingertips, MC Hammer was about to make decisions that would destroy everything he had built, because having money and keeping money are two very different things. And Hammer was about to learn that lesson in the most devastating, public, and catastrophic way imaginable. The spectacular collapse. When you're making $30 million a year and you're on top of the world, you start to believe the money will never stop flowing. You start to believe you're invincible. You start to make decisions that seem perfectly reasonable in the moment but look absolutely insane in hindsight. And MC Hammer made those decisions on a scale that would become legendary, not for the right reasons. At the height of his success, flush with more cash than he'd ever imagined possible, Hammer began spending at a rate that would make even the most extravagant celebrities blush. The centerpiece of his extravagance, the crown jewel of his excess, the physical manifestation of his success, and the beginning of his downfall, was his mansion in Fremont, California. In October 1990, Hammer purchased a 12.55-acre hilltop property for $5 million, already an astronomical sum, but to Hammer, it was just the beginning. He deliberately chose this location because it overlooked his childhood neighborhood in East Oakland, a constant reminder of how far he'd come from those poverty-stricken streets where he'd sold baseballs as a kid. But the existing 11,000 square foot home wasn't nearly grand enough for what Hammer envisioned. So he did what any rational person making $30 million a year would do. He demolished it completely and started from scratch. What he built next was less a house and more a monument to excess, a temple to wealth, a 40,000 square foot compound that would eventually contribute to his financial ruin. The renovations cost an additional $12 to $30 million. Yes, you read that correctly, up to $30 million in renovations alone, transforming the property into something that had to be seen to be believed. Gold-plated gates emblazoned with "Hammer Time" greeted visitors. Italian marble floors sourced directly from Italian mountains cost $2 million for the marble alone. 2 swimming pools, one of which was uniquely shaped like his signature parachute pants, became the talk of the industry. A bowling alley, a baseball diamond, tennis courts, a 17-car garage, a professional recording studio, a rehearsal hall, a 33-seat theater, an exercise room with 2 saunas, a media room, a guardhouse, a pool house, 4 dishwashers, because apparently 3 wasn't wasn't enough, state-of-the-art computerized thermostats, a marble steam room, and perhaps most incredibly, gold-plated hot tub and toilet in the bedroom. The property featured marble statues of himself scattered throughout, because when you're MC Hammer at the peak of your fame, why wouldn't you immortalize yourself in marble? The annual upkeep alone reached $500,000 to $1 million, including a staff of 200 people just to maintain the estate. Think about that. $500,000 to $1 million every single year just to keep the lights on and the grass cut. Hammer would later reflect in interviews that he rarely used many of its amenities, admitting the home felt like a perpetual vacation property where rooms sat empty and features went untouched. The marble steam room, the elaborate living room with its expensive couch. He barely spent time in these spaces that cost millions to create. It was excess for the sake of excess, wealth displayed rather than wealth enjoyed. But the mansion was just the beginning of Hammer's spending spree. His collection of vehicles read like a fantasy garage that would make any car enthusiast weep with envy. He accumulated 17 and 20 luxury vehicles, including a Lamborghini, a 1990 Ferrari, $85,000, a 1975 Mercedes-Benz, $3,000, multiple other Mercedes models, antique vehicles, top-of-the-range sports cars, and a stretch limousine for when he wanted to arrive in style, which was apparently often. For air travel, because commercial flights were apparently beneath him, Hammer owned a private jet. Some reports suggest it was a Boeing 727 that he operated briefly, and 2 helicopters. Because when you need to get somewhere, why choose between a jet and a helicopter when you can have both, plus a backup helicopter just in case? And then there were the horses. Oh, the horses. In 1991, Hammer founded Oaktown Stable, investing approximately $1.2 to $525 million in 1921 thoroughbred racehorses, with individual horses costing anywhere from $250,000 to $1 million each. To be fair, some of these investments actually paid off. His horse Light won the 1991 Kentucky Oaks and other prestigious races, earning $1.23 million in career winnings. Another horse, Dance Floor, placed third in the 1992 Kentucky Derby, but the upkeep, the training, the facilities, the cost of maintaining a racing stable quickly overwhelmed any winnings. Beyond the tangible assets, Hammer's spending included extravagant shopping sprees on jewelry, custom designer outfits that would make Fashion Week look modest, gifts for friends and family that included expensive cars and jewelry, and costly stage productions for tours featuring elaborate sets and dozens of professional dancers that cost millions to execute. Every show was a spectacle, every appearance a production, every moment an opportunity to demonstrate his success through lavish display. But perhaps the single biggest drain on Hammer's finances, the decision that more than anything else would lead to his bankruptcy, was his entourage. Motivated by genuine loyalty and an authentic desire to uplift people from his troubled East Oakland roots, where he had grown up in poverty alongside 8 siblings, Hammer employed approximately 200 people, many of them friends and family from his old neighborhood. These weren't just employees. Many occupied roles as bodyguards, dancers, assistants, and various undefined positions that existed primarily to provide income to people Hammer cared about. The monthly payroll alone exceeded $500,000. That's $6 million a year just in salaries. When he traveled, he often brought a subset of 40 people with him, further amplifying costs with hotels, meals, transportation, and everything else that comes with moving a small army around the country. Hammer justified this expense by pointing to the lives he was changing. These were people he was elevating from poverty to upper middle class lifestyles, giving them purpose, providing opportunities they would never have had otherwise. It came from a place of genuine compassion and community commitment. But compassion doesn't pay bills when your income starts declining, and that's exactly what happened. By the mid-1990s, the hip-hop landscape was shifting dramatically. The rise of gangsta rap, with its gritty authenticity and street credibility, made Hammer's pop-friendly, dance-oriented style seem dated and inauthentic to many listeners. Attempting to adapt, he released The Funky Headhunter, 1994, which went platinum but peaked at number 2 on R&B charts with Pumps and a Bump, respectable numbers that would have thrilled most artists, but a massive decline from his diamond-certified peak. Albums like Inside Out, 1995, and Family Affair, 1998, underperformed, selling modestly amid label changes, overexposure, feuds with artists like Redman and Jay-Z who mocked his commercial sound, and a perceived lack of authenticity in the evolving hip-hop landscape contributed to his commercial decline. The money that had flowed like an endless river was slowing to a trickle. But here's the critical problem. While Hammer's income was declining rapidly, his expenses remained exactly the same. The mansion still required $500,000 to $1 million annually in maintenance. The 200-person entourage still needed their $500,000 monthly payroll. The cars still needed insurance and upkeep. The horses still needed to be fed and trained. The lavish lifestyle that had seemed sustainable when he was earning $30 million a year became catastrophically unsustainable when his earnings dropped to a fraction of that amount. Making matters worse, Hammer had entrusted his finances to his brother, who lacked any professional accounting or financial management experience. There were no savings accounts, no investments, no diversification, no emergency funds, no financial planning whatsoever. Hammer subscribed to a money is for spending philosophy, believing that earnings would continue indefinitely, that the party would never end, that tomorrow would always bring more money than today. Debts began accumulating at an alarming rate. Unpaid loans stacked up. Lawsuits from former employees who weren't being paid on time multiplied. Tax liens from both federal and state authorities appeared. Copyright lawsuits emerged, including settlements with Rick James for sampling Super Freak, which granted James co-writer credit and royalties that further drained Hammer's income. The walls were closing in from every direction. The inevitable happened on April 1st, 1996, when MC Hammer filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the Northern District of California in Oakland. The filing revealed the extent of his financial disaster, assets valued at $9.6 million against debts exceeding $13 million, with some reports citing total liabilities as high as $13.7 million. Over 200 creditors were named in the bankruptcy filing, reading like a who's who of people and organizations that Hammer owed money to. The IRS claimed $758,113 plus an additional $100,000 for 1993-1994 unpaid federal taxes. The California Franchise Tax Board demanded $550,197 plus $100,000 for delinquent state taxes from 1991-1994. Alameda County wanted $235,389 in unpaid property taxes. Winterland Productions was owed $1 million for show production costs. NFL player Deion Sanders had loaned him $500,000, secured by Hammer's car collection. Various lawyers were owed hundreds of thousands, $484,051 to Larry Blake, $450,000 plus $163,963 to Sarah McDwyer, $195,936 to G. William Hunter. Even interior decorators Ted and Janice Smith were owed $110,000. Their business had reportedly collapsed due to Hammer's non-payment. During a June 1996 bankruptcy hearing, Hammer personally addressed creditors, explaining that his royalties were irregular, recently $375,000 but completely unpredictable, and that he had no steady job or reliable income stream. He admitted borrowing from Deion Sanders to avoid dealing with banks and their bureaucratic processes. The case would eventually convert to Chapter 7 liquidation in September 1998, with discharge denied in 2002 due to ongoing disputes. The crown jewel of his empire, that magnificent Fremont mansion that had cost him somewhere between $42 million when you combine purchase price and renovations, was listed at $6.8 million and eventually sold in August 1997 for $5.36.8 million to Sterling Sat Television Latinad, a Singapore-based company. It was a devastating loss, selling for a fraction of what he'd invested. The cars were repossessed, the jet was repossessed, the helicopters were repossessed, the horses were sold off. Everything that represented his success, his triumph over poverty, his proof that he'd made it, gone. Hammer would later reflect in interviews with heartbreaking honesty, "I had too much money and not enough sense. It was a lesson learned the hardest possible way, in the most public manner imaginable, with the entire world watching one of hip-hop's biggest success stories transform into one of its most cautionary tales." But here's what makes MC Hammer's story different from so many other tales of celebrity excess and financial ruin. This wasn't the end, not even close. The Reinvention. Most people who experience the kind of catastrophic financial collapse that Hammer endured never recover. They become cautionary tales, tragic footnotes in the history of excess, living reminders of what not to do. But MC Hammer wasn't most people. The same determination that took him from selling baseballs in a parking lot to selling 18 million albums wouldn't let him stay down. In the late 1990s, amid the wreckage of his financial empire, Hammer underwent a profound personal transformation. He became an ordained Pentecostal minister, dedicating himself to faith in a way that went far beyond the Christian themes that had always been present in his music. This wasn't a publicity stunt or an image rehabilitation strategy. This was a man finding genuine spiritual grounding after watching everything he'd built crumble around him. He hosted MC Hammer and Friends on Trinity Broadcasting Network, a faith-based program where he discussed spirituality, personal growth, and redemption. He officiated high-profile weddings, including actor Corey Feldman's in 2002 and Mötley Crüe frontman Vince Neil's in 2005. thrive, blending his celebrity past with his new ministerial calling. His outreach extended to prison ministries and youth programs, emphasizing themes of redemption and second chances that he now embodied personally. But Hammer's recovery wasn't just spiritual. Remember, this was a man who had demonstrated entrepreneurial instincts from childhood, who had built an empire from a $20,000 loan in basement operations. Those instincts hadn't disappeared. They'd just been temporarily overwhelmed by excess and poor management. In what might be the most unexpected career pivot in entertainment history, Hammer became a Silicon Valley tech investor and advisor, not as a celebrity endorsement or figurehead, but as a genuine, knowledgeable participant in the tech industry who spent 10-12 hours daily working with startups and technology companies. In 2007, he co-founded DanceJam.com, a dance-focused social network that raised $4.5 million in funding and was eventually sold to Grind Networks in 2011. As chief strategy officer, he leveraged his entertainment background for marketing and user engagement strategies. But more impressively, he made early investments in companies that would become tech giants: Twitter, now X, Square, Bump Technologies, Flipboard, and Pandora, serving as an advisor to Pandora's founder on streaming strategies. Think about the timing of these investments. This was pre-IPO, early-stage venture capital territory. Hammer wasn't just throwing money at random startups, he was identifying companies with genuine potential before they became household names. His investment in Twitter has been particularly noted, made when the platform was still finding its footing and way before it became the cultural force it is today. In 2010, he launched Alchemist Management, a firm managing MMA fighters like Nate Marquardt, and Wiredo, an ambitious deep search engine designed to rival Google. While Wiredo ultimately shuttered in beta due to lack of traction, not every venture succeeds, even for seasoned entrepreneurs. The willingness to take that risk demonstrated Hammer's continued entrepreneurial spirit. By 2011, he was honored as Social Media Marketer of the Year at the Gravity Summit for his 2.6 million Twitter followers and authentic engagement with social media as a business tool. In 2016, he became a limited partner in Swan and Legend Venture Partners, a Washington, D.C.-based venture capital firm, cementing his transformation from entertainer to legitimate tech industry player. Today, Hammer consults for approximately 8 companies, focusing particularly on the intersection of AI and music, a prescient area of interest as artificial intelligence transforms the music industry. His recent social media posts discuss deals like Universal Music's partnerships with AI companies like Stability AI and Udio, demonstrating his continued engagement with cutting-edge technology. Musically, Hammer never completely left the game. He released albums like Family Affair, 1998, a gospel double album featuring a collaboration with Tupac Shakur, Active Duty, 2001, a patriotic album released after 9/11 with proceeds donated to charities, Look Look Look, 2006, which sold 300,000 copies worldwide with production from Scott Storch, and Dance Jam the Music, 2008-2009, tied to his Dance Jam venture. Later singles included Better Run Run, 2010, an infamous Jay-Z diss track, Raider Nation, 2013, an anthem for his beloved Oakland Raiders, All in My Mind, 2014, with Oakland Fight Club, and an updated version of Help the Children, 2017. He judged on Dance Fever, 2003, starred in the A&E reality series Hammer Time, 2009, showcasing his family life in Tracy, California, and performed memorable mashups like his appearance with Psy at the 2012 American Music Awards, combining Gangnam Style with Too Legit to Quit for a new generation of fans. By 2025, Hammer's net worth is estimated at $2 million, derived from music royalties from his 50 million career record sales, performances, endorsements, and residuals from his tech investments. This represents a deliberate, modest rebuild. He lives in Tracy, California with wife Stephanie, whom he married in 1985, and their 5 children, far from the excessive Fremont mansion that symbolized both his peak and his downfall. This is not a return to $70 million wealth. This is sustainable, managed, intelligent financial stability built on diversified income sources rather than a single revenue stream that could dry up overnight. It's the financial approach he should have taken in the 1990s, learned through brutal experience and applied with wisdom earned through loss. By 2017, he had resolved outstanding IRS debts totaling $779,585 from the bankruptcy era, finally closing that painful chapter. But echoes of the past occasionally resurface, reminding us that financial recovery is not always linear or complete. In August 2025, JP Morgan Chase sued Hammer and his company You Can't Touch This LLC for breaching a financing agreement on a 2023 Land Rover Defender purchased for $114,376. Monthly payments of $2,433.97 ceased in May 2024, leaving $76,732.79 owed as of July 2025, with the bank seeking vehicle repossession. The lawsuit, filed July 31st, 2025, in Alameda, Alameda County Superior Court underscores that old habits and vulnerabilities can persist even after major recovery. But here's the thing about MC Hammer's story that makes it fundamentally different from other cautionary tales of celebrity excess. It's not actually tragic. Yes, he lost 70 million. Yes, he made catastrophically bad financial decisions. Yes, he experienced one of the most public bankruptcies in entertainment history. But tragedy implies an ending, a finality, a defeat that cannot be overcome. Hammer's story is about resilience. It's about reinvention. It's about taking the lessons learned from devastating failure and building something different, something sustainable, something meaningful. He maintains over 405,000 Instagram followers and millions on Twitter X, where he posts daily about technology, faith, motivation, and culture, maintaining relevance and influence without needing to chase another diamond album. His influence on hip-hop's commercialization cannot be overstated. He proved that rap could sell millions, that it could be family-friendly without losing authenticity, that elaborate stage productions and visual spectacle had a place in the genre. Artists like Will Smith, who followed a similar pop-rap trajectory, owe a debt to Hammer's trailblazing. Even Psy, whose Gangnam Style became a global phenomenon, cited Hammer as inspiration for understanding how dance and music could transcend language and cultural barriers. Recent discoveries, like unreleased Death Row Records tapes found in a Modesto storage unit in 2024, hint at untapped legacies and chapters of Hammer's career that remain unexplored. His story continues to evolve, continues to surprise, continues to defy the simple narrative of rise and fall that we want to impose on celebrity lives.
Love is unconditional. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you love somebody, you gotta love them through the storms. You gotta love them on the good days, the bad days. Love is unconditional.
Love, bam. And the second question is, what do you love more than money?
Jesus Christ, life, eternal life. I love eternal life more than money. I love family more than money.
That's the real MC Hammer, not the caricature of parachute pants and you can't touch this, not the cautionary tale of bankruptcy and excess, but a complex human being who experienced extraordinary success, devastating failure, and ultimately found redemption through faith, family, and reinvention. The lessons from Hammer's journey are clear for anyone willing to listen. Diversify your income, hire professional financial managers, live below your means, not at them, save and invest for the future. Don't confuse cash flow with wealth. Understand that fame is temporary, but good financial habits are forever. These aren't revolutionary insights, but watching someone learn them by losing $70 million makes them impossible to ignore. In the end, MC Hammer's story isn't tragic at all. It's profoundly human. It's about making mistakes and learning from them. It's about falling spectacularly and getting back up with dignity. It's about redefining success not as how much money you have, but as how you impact the world and the people around you.
If they forget who you are, that's all right. But if you forget who you are, that's a damn shame.
As Hammer himself says, click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.